Okay, today we're going to talk a little bit about photo editing. Now, earlier this semester we talked about some Photoshop basics, and I'm going to quickly review them right now. This is a photo that I took of my son, just to brag a little here, but notice the depth of field. Oh, you thought I was going to brag on my son. No, about how the photo is taken, of course, yes. Yeah, the blurred background. He is not blurred because he's where I want my center of interest to be. But you can see he's a little on the yellow side. We can play a little bit with the brightness and the contrast because I don't think there's any truly dark areas except for maybe back here where the leg of that table is. So we can play with brightness and contrast. And just to remind ourselves how to do cropping, take this actually really well composed photo and turn it into a portrait from a landscape. So let's first talk about how to do brightness contrast, and actually how I do it is I adjust levels. So if you go under image, adjustment, and levels, you see that we have a histogram. It shows the dark areas over here, and there's not that many, like I said. The light areas over here, and there's a big spike there because you have this window back here where the sunlight was coming in and blew it out. And the midtones are about where they need to be. So what I'm going to need to do is add some dark areas by moving this black arrow to the right a little. To add a little brightness, move this right arrow to the left. And then I'm going to put the midtones right where we have all this information, which is probably where the midtones of this photo should be. And just by eyeballing it, and not using the computer algorithm, that looks pretty good as far as brightness, contrast, and levels. So I'm going to click OK on that. To adjust the color, I'm going to go under Image, Adjustments, and then go to Color Balance, or Control B. And here I am going to add a little bit of cyan since the photo seems a little bit red to me. So if I move it over, you can see it blues it up pretty bad. Look in the background, trying to say both of those words at once. It goes from gray up here where it really should be to almost blue, so I'm going to bring that back so it's back into the gray that I know that it is. And his face looking pretty good, a little still too much on the yellow side, so I'm going to go down here and add some blue, keeping my eye on that background once again in this girl's jeans, and trying not to overdo it too terribly much. And I usually don't adjust the magenta and the green too much, but let's see. Yeah, I add a little bit onto the green side, not much. So I think this is a pretty good, not only with tone but also with color. So if you see how, I had auto color and auto tone, must have done that earlier, but this is what it looked like when I opened it up. And this is after I made the adjustments. And cropping, if I wanted to crop, I would go to the fifth tool down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like, well, it's a scaleograph. Looks like a piece of candy that's in a wrapper. And if you click on that, it brings out these corners on the side, and then these side handles too. And we can move these around to adjust the photo so we have just what we want in the photo. We want to get rid of the background that is not adding to the story, not adding to the center of interest. So by bringing in the two side handles like this, I get a portrait-shaped photo rather than a landscape. And I'm going to either press the little check mark up here or do the enter key. And now I have a photo that has been taken from landscape into portrait. So quick review there, very quick review of how to do levels, color levels, how to do cropping. And I think the only thing I may have covered or may not have is how to touch up a photo. And how we would do that is we would use the healing brush. So I'm zooming in on him a little, and he has a little mole down here. I knew it was there. If you go to the tool that looks like a band-aid that has a little dot next to it, that is the spot healing brush. And what that does is it allows you to erase little blemishes like that. Now up here I have a very feathered brush because the hardness is down to 0, so the edges of the brush are very feathered. And the size of it, 40. This is a very high resolution image, so this will work just fine. And what I'm going to do, you can't really see my cursor very well, is just click and drag over that little blemish there, and when I let go, it has vanished. So let's see, a little pimple there in his beard, vanished. Take care of this one up here, and you can see if I go through this photo, I can take care of little tiny spots that, yes, they were there in reality, but if this was for, say, a feature photo rather than a news photo, I wouldn't have too much trouble with the ethics of it. Let's see what else we can remove on him. A little there on his eye, well, not his eye, his nose near his eye, so I got rid of that. And what else? A little here, but I'm not going to mess with that too much. But you can see that you can take care of little tiny blemishes with the spot healing brush with no trouble at all. Just click over the area that you want to heal, so to speak. Try to do that up there. Oh, it actually worked. Now if we wanted to do a larger area, say this area here, by his, let's use a different tool so you can see what I'm doing. This area here, it's not much of a blemish, but you can kind of see it's a little discolored. I'm going to use basically a bigger brush. So what I'm going to do is click and hold on the spot healing brush and go up to the regular healing brush. And what you do here is it works a lot like the clone tool, which is right here, looks like a rubber stamp. First you define the area you want to copy from to the area that you want to copy to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Alt key, and you'll see that it turns into a little, what do we want to call this? My mind just went blank on that. Little target area there. And then I'm going to move my brush over to where this blemish is, and you can see that my brush actually is that flesh tone from where I just pressed the crosshairs. That's the word I was looking for, crosshairs. And if I click and drag over the blemished area, you can see, if you look really closely, the little crosshairs of where I'm copying from to where I'm copying to. And it's not doing a direct copy. It's not like the cloning tool where it is a direct copy. Rather, it is using a mathematical algorithm that looks at the area around the paintbrush of the healing tool and kind of guesses what should be there based on the color you defined earlier. So let's see if I can make this stray hair up here disappear. So I want to get rid of that. And what I'm going to do is for this bottom half, I want to copy this blank area. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key, get my crosshair, and remember what it is this time, do a single click, and then drag it over to the hair. And you can see as I'm moving down this time, you can see little O area for the brush, a little crosshair from the area that I was copying from. It does this little mathematical thing and says, all right, based on the information you tell me it should look sort of like, I'm going to make a guess and put it over on top of the area that you want to get rid of or alter. So that worked out pretty good. Let's see. Now I'm going to zoom out by doing a Control-0. And you can see that the photo looks pretty much the same, but I removed the blemishes. And we'll see if I can use my history toolbar here. I'll go to where we cropped it. And, view around here and around his throat. Remember, I removed that dot there. And he's all healed up. So, let's see, the last thing, spot healing. Just look at that little hair there, and then when I redo the healing brush, it has disappeared. So that's how you quickly touch up a photo using both the spot healing brush and the regular healing brush. Now you can get really strange and unethical when you start playing around with photos, and one of that ways is using the cloning tool. Mentioned that there, clone stamp tool, rubber stamp tool. And how this is different from the healing brush is that instead of just guessing what it should look like, it's just going to copy. It's going to just do a straightforward copy of from where I define where it's from to where I want to bring it to. And I think I want to have about a 105 pixel brush there, still with the zero hardness on the edge of the brushes, so it's feathered out. And what I'm going to do is take, let's take this eye here, his right eye, and I'm going to clone it and put it in the middle of his forehead. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to do the crosshairs by holding down the Alt key on the keyboard, do a single click to get into the middle of his eye, and this is about the middle of his forehead. And when I click and drag, it's going to start copying, cloning his eye where I put it. So there we go. Now, of course, since I picked his left eye, or his right eye, our left side here, it doesn't look perfect. I mean, it obviously looks like we clone the eye over here. But if we went in there with, say, the healing brush, defined an area, let's actually use his cheek here as the color sample. So I'll click here on his cheek, make that brush much bigger. And how I did that was with the bracket keys on the keyboard. So to the right of the P on the keyboard, you have the left bracket, right bracket. And what that does is allows you to use the keyboard to kind of make a quick on-the-fly change of your brush size. And what I'm doing right now is just going around the outside of the eye here. Am I still in? No, I'm in the healing tool. Not healing it as well as I wanted to, but by going through, defining areas we want to copy over to the areas we want to copy from. Here we go. Try to make it a little darker there. We could go through and redefine the area around the eyeball we cloned until it looks pretty good. So using the clone tool to just copy over the eyeball, then using the healing brush there a little bit to feather out the edges, put in some tones there. It's not 100% convincing, but if I took some time, yeah, you can do unethical things like that. And it definitely crosses that boundary between deceiving and not deceiving. So a little quick review on what we've already talked about this semester as far as Photoshop. Maybe some new techniques with the healing brush, spot healing brush, and the regular healing brush, and also with the clone stamp tool. And since we've talked about ethics, how we can definitely and easily cross that ethical line. In the next recording, we'll talk about layers and fun things you can do with that.